good morning, and good morning. Yes, I am fashionably late by 2 minutes, but my clock, I don't know, some kind of had a little glitch in it, but the one I was looking at. But anyway, good morning. How are you? How was your weekend? What did you do? Um, I had a great week last week. My entire week started well. After Mother's Day was my birthday the day after, and my friends celebrated me yesterday, including last night. I went to an event, which is Blues on the Bay. That was the closing of my week. And it was really good. I met some good people, got a chance to just chill out and do nothing. And one of the persons that I met last night, her name was Genevieve. And Genevieve was, it started with the hair. She had a statement thing going on. And of course, my girlfriend and I, we commented on it. And then her husband commented on it. So we were really excited and they were just as friendly, she and her husband Chris. So if you're watching this morning, good morning, Genevieve and Chris. Great meeting you yesterday. But today I wanted to talk about empathy, and our word today is actually empathic. But I wanted to kind of break down the idea that some of us have different levels of empathy. Some of us can really get into it to the point where it consumes us. We can't sleep, we can't eat because we're worried about someone else in terms of how empathetic we may feel for other people, where others, it doesn't phase them at the least. Well, sorry that they're going through tough times, but I'm going. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about this thing called empathy, and our word today, as I said, is empathetic. When I first, started looking this up, it says empathy and it says cognitive and emotional, because they do consider it to be two types of empathy. Um, Sometimes we're in our brain, other times we're in our heart, and sometimes we may be straddling both in our brain and in our heart. But here's what it says, and I found this on a cognitive page. And for those of you who don't know, my middle degrees are in counseling psych, so I do have a tendency to periodically run back that way before running into education, which is probably, that is my mainstay. I stay there. And so it says, we generally think of empathy as the capacity to place ourselves in another person's shoes, you know? However, researchers found that it is possible to have several types of empathy, and cognitive empathy and emotional empathy are two theories which involves knowing how other people think and how they feel, while emotionally empathy involves feeling another person's emotions. So one being, that you get into them, and the other one is that you feel their emotions, you feel for them, and you feel you're trying to feel what they feel. Good morning, Miss Rose. How are you? How was your weekend? Good, good, good. I know you always send me such lovely things. I love my hearts and all the things you always send me. So thank you so much. But when we talk about empathy, it says a thought, although it might be quite different, both cognitive and empathy, um, cognitive empathy and emotional empathy are equally important for helping us form and maintain connections with others. It says, and we can learn about them. It says, cognitive empathy means that you can understand another person's perspective. You're in it. You understand it. Good morning, Joan. How are you, my sweet friend? Today our word is empathetic, but we're talking about empathy right now. It's just trying to give us an idea of where I am, where you are, because it is personal when we come into my little vlog here. Good morning, Rhonda, my niece in New York. Hey, you know, my niece works all the time, so good morning, good morning. So it says, what is cognitive empathy? And it says, cognitive empathy means that you can understand another person's perspective. It also is referred to as a perspective taking, or putting yourself into, one's shoes. You're there. You understand where they're at. It says, in essence, You can imagine what it might be like to be that person in that situation. That's some of us. Some of us can't imagine it. We just said, oh, they're in that situation. There's no into it for them. And it says, when practicing cognitive empathy, we imagine what it might be like to be in a person's moment. This is different than looking at a person's situation or perspective, such as by recognizing that the person may be talented and will likely find a great job soon, meaning, whatever that situation is, you understand it. I'm very empathetic. Yes, you are. You are. You're like your auntie. We are very empathetic people. I don't know where we got that from, but your mother was, which was my sister. So I know where we got it from. And my mother was, even if she may tell you off, she was still empathetic in her telling. She would still give you money, but she gonna tell you all about how to get better, that you don't need her money again. And it says emotional empathy is when you can feel another person's emotions, meaning you just feel it. Like we were talking about this a couple of days ago at a class I took, a Sunday school type class, but it was during the week. So it wasn't on Sunday, but it was a class to understand the significance of Sunday school. And one of the things it talked about was that, you when someone says, they lost their husband, they lost their mother, they lost, everybody will say to them, many people, not everybody, many people will say, oh, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You really don't. You may think you know how they feel, or you can say, I felt really bad when I lost mine. That is alignment at the same thing, which you're probably trying to do. But the other one pretty much puts people off in a sense. Good morning, Sherry. How are you doing, my friend? We still need to talk. But I'm running. But anyway, so the emotional empathy says if you're sitting close to a loved one and they start to cry, for example, you might begin to feel sad too. So you can get into the emotion of where they are. With the other one, which is pretty much, a lot of people, they're just on the cognitive side. They're saying they understand what shoes you're in. And the emotional side says, well, hey, I'm sad for you, and I'm sad about it. So there's an understanding. So when it says cognitive empathy, it says taking another person's perspective, imagining what it would be like in another person's shoes, and understanding someone's feelings. That would be cognitive. Emotionally would be sharing an emotional experience, such as sharing what somebody else would be thinking. Um, Feeling distress in response to someone's pain. They feel pain, you emote pain for them, because you know what they're going through. And like a friend of mine had a death in her family, and I called her and, just telling her, hey, look, I don't know all you're going through, because I can't say I experienced that. But what I'm saying is that if you need something, certainly give me a call and let's talk. So experiencing willingness to help someone, that would be the emotional side of empathy. So anyway, let's break this down this morning, and I'm going to ask you, are you stuck? Are you occasionally stuck on understanding your empathy level? If you have one, it's individualized. What you feel is not what someone else is going to feel. What you say, what you hold true, what you hold fast to, how you think, how you emote, they're all yours. No one, we just don't feel the same. We were talking about that last night too with some people. And one of the things we said is that the world would be so boring if we all felt the same way, thought the same way, looked the same, act the same. It would be like just carbon copies all over the place. So, we're all different. We're all different, and we need to play with that. So what is empathetic? To be empathetic, it says showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of others. And it says that means you could be compassionate, you could be sympathetic, understanding, you could be humane, you could be gentle and loving and affectionate. All those things speak to the fact that Sometimes we are who we are just by the simple things that we say, not by the things that we have to make up, thinking that we have to align. We just have to be present. And present in this instance is that I hear you. And I'm understanding where you're at. It's not saying that I feel the same way you do, although it says that by you saying something that you could be there. You could be there. You could be feeling something. Um, when we break the word down this morning, with being empathetic, and I mean empathic, says that my E for me is emotional. I feel that if I am trying to comfort someone, listen to someone, hear someone on where they're at with whatever their situation is, then I might be emotional for them or with them, for them or with them. And that means it's relating to a person's emotions. It might be that it's something spiritual we're talking about, which is higher than us. It might be psychological because it's really torn them apart and tearing you apart to even listen to it. Or you may have already known of some of it, and then you get what I would say the inside details, and it may be even more pulling at your heart to do something as much as you can within reason. And sometimes we go out of reason. We just go. We just go. Encourage. That's good. That is really good. So when we look at emotional, we also talk about what is the inner side of how we're feeling. What's the psychic? Have you ever met people and you felt psychic towards them, or they were psychic towards you, telling you things about yourself that you said, well, wait a minute now, how they know that? How they know? You don't know. You don't know. And I always say that's above my thinking level. And I think high, but that's above where I'm at, you know. And it says, and also when something is emotional, it's of the heart, meaning you're feeling it. You understand what you're feeling and how it's working on you. You got that. When we further break the word down of empathic, my M is for merciful. Good morning, Erica. Hi, all happy Monday to you too, sweetie. Good to have you in the space. So our word today is empathic. And so far we had emotional for what I put. I don't know what you would put for your E, but for my M of empathic, I have merciful. I believe that when we see people going through things, we hear stories, we're given information, or we see them where we see their brokenness, we see their hurt, we see their falling, and how do we help? Sometimes we may help financially, we may help emotionally by bringing them things. We may bring food or clothing or something that's missing, So, and I believe that many people that are in what I've done for years and years and years have to have a certain level of empathy and be in a position to want to do something for others. I believe teachers, I believe preachers, some of them. I know, I would certainly like to believe that other professions are like that, such as for sure counselors. They're interested in trying to get people from getting unstuck, be able to moving forward and feeling better about who they are. Our happy. Yes, our happy. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Discernment. Oh, that's good. I love that word, discernment. Understanding that you're not being taken advantage of, but that what is being given is truly needed and will be used wisely. I was telling someone over the weekend about, everybody knows that since I've lost a lot of weight, I like to eat, but I can't eat much. And so I have a tendency to box up my food. So anyway, I saw a man on a corner and I decided I was going to box up my food and give it to him. And, and I remember right where I was getting off the interstate, and we had stopped a minute. We were holding up traffic, the whole deal. And I gave the man the food. He threw it back. He threw it back. He said, that's not what I want. So sometimes you can't be at the same level of where you're feeling something is needed and they're looking for something else. You know, you being empathic may be nice. You being, having empathy is wonderful, but it doesn't mean that they want what you can offer. They're wanting what you may not offer, which may be money, it may be alcohol, it may be other things, but you can't offer that because that's not, you don't have the same mindset. Memory is good. Yeah, because I think when you're thinking about being, in a position where you can do something for somebody, it's in your memory. It's almost etched. You say, man, they're really suffering. You know, they're really, really suffering. What do you do? So when I said merciful, I said showing or exercising mercy, meaning being compassionate, being lenient, pitying, forbearing, being mild and soft hearted, being kind and being patient. All those things speak to mercifulness, that sometimes we want to give mercy to others, and we do it in a way that would be considered an empathic manner. We would just do that. We move on in our word of empathic. I have patience. I believe that we need and to be patient with some people that aren't moving as fast as they should, don't have what they need, are struggling with what they have or what little they have, and we want to step in. And sometimes even the fix isn't a fix. We see it as being a fix. They don't. They see it as being a band-aid, which in many instances it is. You see somebody that's struggling and don't have many clothes and you want to help with that. You don't know how to help with it. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing? Personal. Oh, and praying. Come on now. That praying is good stuff. And that personal is good stuff because you're recognizing where they are. See, sometimes I think we've envisioned people to be better than where we see them. And so we think just by every now and then, or maybe it's a one time where we might give them something. And what happens is that it doesn't move the needle enough for them because they're looking for something else. So yeah, those are great. Personal. Absolutely. Personal is it. I have patience, being patient. And I said, able to accept or tolerate delays. If you see somebody that's struggling with something and you think you've helped them enough where the struggle should be less, there, less of, in I would say in motive and movement, that doesn't mean that it is. That may just be that they're still stalled. They're still delayed. They can't move that fast, So giving purpose. Yes, purpose is great. Pause. Oh, sometimes we need to pause. Sometimes we need to pause on what it is we're doing for others because they see it as a continuous thing. Because if every time you see them and you've helped them every time, then every time they see you, they expect you to help them. And I think I've told you a couple of times that, sometimes the help may not come the way they want it or when they want it or how they want it. Nonetheless, we're still there because we have that heart that has empathy and feels it. We want to help. We want to persuade. Ooh, how do you persuade somebody that if you help, then they need to help themselves too? That's tough. So anyway, when we have patience, of course, it says we have it says able to accept and tolerate delays and problems or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. Sometimes we're annoyed and anxious, or they get annoyed and anxious with us because they're expecting more than what we are doing or willing to do. It says patience talks about being forbearing, uncompetitive, tolerant, composing, long-suffering, tranquil, and in some instances serene, meaning it may be a quiet period, just patience, not moving fast enough. Amen. Enabling. Ooh. Now that could have been that E right there where I had emotional enabling. Yes. But still be kind without enabling. Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good, Sherry. Thank you. And that is an amen. That is an amen for sure. We move on in our word. My A is for affectionate. I believe that people who have empathy and are empathic are affectionate, meaning they're ready to show, someone fondness and kindness, readily feeling it. They feel their ability to do that, and they want to do that for people. If you've ever been in a situation where you've seen somebody that you needed to show empathy to, put a yes down in there. Actually, put a yes and then a dash, and then E for yes, for empathy. Or you can write the word out. But it says when we're affectionate, it says we're going to be loving. We may be fond of the person, devoted in some instances. Some people have lived with their children or spouse for years and years and years and years of alcohol abuse or other substances abuses, and they still are unhinged, they're still hinged, excuse me, not unhinged, they're still hinged to the person's unhingedness. It's like they're there, and they may be the enablers, they may be the people, but they are still affectionate, where they tolerate whatever's going on. It says loving, fond, devoted, caring, warm-hearted, unselfish, meaning whatever. My son needs me, my husband, my wife, my child, somebody needs me. And some people get great care. I don't know how they do it, out of being needed, not necessarily getting what they want, but being needed enough that they say it's all good, no problem. This is the way it should work. So it says unselfish is also unselfish. It's kind, it's friendly, and it's welcoming. So if you've been welcomed and you've been, having the understanding of what it is that empathy that you can bring out another does for them and you'll just continue to doing it. Okay. All right. So Cheryl said yes. Joan said yes. Sherry said yes. Accurate. Ooh, that's good. How accurate are we? Affirmative action. Okay. All right. At one time that was, big on trying to, I would say, level out an area that seemingly was having great trouble, just allowing people who had been denied, or actually it was the entire, black race or women, because it was affirmative action was just not for blacks, it was for women as well and other people of color, to try to level out the playing field when it came to, schools, school entrances, school, acceptances, and of course, heading towards matriculation into graduation. It didn't always work, because eventually it was disassembled and banned. But yeah, you're right with that for sure, Cheryl. When we move on in our word of empathic, at some point in time, we have to be thoughtful. And so that's my T, thoughtful, absorbed and involving thought, also showing consideration for the needs of other people. Is that not thoughtfulness? Teach. Ooh, come on now. That's what I do every day when I do Are You Stuck? I'm hoping that people will understand how relative words are and how relatable they can be to not just themselves for having a conversation with a girlfriend, but having a conversation with anyone, you know, anyone, to understand the significance of thought that goes into, conversing, Oh my goodness. Teach, therapy, time, all good. All good. Because sometimes if you teach somebody something, and if they're, even if they're not a great learner, they may be an average learner and they've learned some of what you taught them. That means it goes forward because it remains with them, at least the portions that they retain. Therapy, I recommend therapy for people. I always have. I was a therapist for years, and really felt that I did many people some good. Many people, you know. I don't, I know it costs a lot, most instances. So it's hard to figure out how you can get therapy, need therapy, get it, and not have to pay high costs for it because it like every other medical cost is expensive. And it's usually just a 50-minute hour, so you better get everything in before that the timer strikes 5:0. 50 minutes into session. I don't know if you all have seen the commercial. I don't even know what the commercial is for, but the therapist was talking to the patient, which is laying out on a couch. And so the patient says, I really don't think this therapy is working. And so she says, oh, well, we'll just see you next week. Our session is over. Well, as a therapist, one of the things says you do not try to bring up heavy things at the end of the session. You try to do it at the beginning so you have time to talk about it. But I always get a smile every time I see that commercial. And obviously, it sold me on the counseling part, but I don't remember what the product was, so I don't know how good it was for their selling of an idea. But I know for the actual idea itself, that kind of worked. That worked for me. I just thought it was funny. When we move on in our word of empathic, my H is for humane. I believe that those of us who love other people and love to see them doing better than what they may be doing at the time that we view them, understands what being humane is. I've seen that commercial, yes. So humane is having or showing compassion or benevolence. And sometimes we need to realize that it could have been us. I always think about that. That could be me. Every time I pass somebody on the road, that's walking, trying to hitchhike a ride. And, I think I picked up a hitchhiker one time, and that was it. That was when I was young and thinking, the world was an oyster and I was the pearl and all that kind of craziness. You couldn't get me to do that now. No way. Uh-uh. Because I know that the person that's out there is already showing that they're at a deficit, that they don't have a car, and they're pushing carts and their shoes, are worn. And, I'm just thinking, I couldn't do it. I'd rather try to do it some formal way. And anybody that knows me knows I'm pretty benevolent. So I give through the different organizations that say, we need to do something for others. That's what I do. I give to them. No problem. None whatsoever. But it says that when we're humane, we're going to be compassionate, kind hearted, good, civilized, tender. Some of us are very tender hearted, gentle. Our mindset is oriented towards helping others, and that we're just tender. We just have this need to show our tenderness to others. My I, as I move on in our word, helping in humility. Ooh, hospitable. My mother and father were the most hospitable people I ever knew. And I had to teach myself as I was getting, out on my own and young, that you can only be so hospitable, because I had a couple of people that would love to visit my house every day. And I would always tell my mom, hey, mom, I cooked so-and-so day. She said, well, do you have some for tomorrow? And I said, no. She said, why not? I said, well, so-and-so stopped by. She said, okay, if they're stopping by so often, then you need to recheck that. because, every once in a while, being hospitable is great. But if they're there every day, basically you're feeding them dinner. So it took me a while, took me a minute, but helping is good. Humility is great. Just understanding that, how do you teach people humility? You know, and sometimes we're humble in our ability to give something away, but other people may not be humble in how they receive it, because they're saying, well, yeah, you know, I need more. This isn't what I wanted. Like the man I gave the food to that threw it back at the car. Oh, I didn't tell you that part, did I? Yeah, he threw it back at the car. It is what it is. So when we're looking at who we are, we just have to understand that who we are may not meet where other people are. They may not be able to um, get and receive. They may get it that you gave it, but that's as much as it was. It was given. There wasn't any thought behind it. It was needed. So that's it. That's it. We move on in our word. My I is for individualized. I believe that those of us who know life, we know it on our own terms. We don't know it on I don't know Joan, I don't know what Cheryl would be, or what Miss Rosie would be. I would just be, okay, it is what it is. What Erica, I, it would just be what it is. That's how it would fall out. We all have our own way of how we deal. Identity, wow. And think about that. That's your identity and their identity. Because sometimes people have marked you as a giver, but they haven't marked themselves as a receiver, and then come up from the receiving to be able to pass it on. Because they said, well, my hurts are worse than your hurts. My life is worse than your life is. And in some instances, that may be true, very true. If they're suffering, if they're having lack of money, lack of clothing, lack of a place to stay, yes, they are suffering. You know, but I remember talking to a few of the people that are out there, and some of them said that that's their way of life. They just like it. They like the fact that it's free. I'm worried about everything crawling. Everybody knows I don't like anything crawling. Where my food come from, who gave it to me, all that kind of stuff. So for me, I would have great difficulty being out in the open air, as that being my place for my rest. There could be no rest for me. Good morning, Maurice. How are you? Today our word is empathic, and we're looking at, so far we've covered, I had emotional, merciful, patient, affectionate, thoughtful, humane, individualized. That's where we are now. And I said, obviously for me, I said if something is individualized, I said it means it's definitely personal, definitely particular just to that person. And it's a private thing. It's not public that, I may do this or do that for others, but sometimes people do something and then they tell it, you know. Um, if I tell it, I give you no names. I just want you to know that maybe sometimes we have to step outside what our positions are in life and just help others, you know. And I'd probably do much more than I'd ever tell, just because I enjoy it. It gives me a good feeling too that I've helped somebody do something. So for the I, let's see, we have identity and important, how important it is, yes. And some people are users. They certainly are, Joan. They are. They are. They are. So my last letter is C. What would you write for your C before I tell you what mine is? Let me see if somebody gets it. I agree. Let me see if somebody gets it. Let me see if someone picked up the same word that I did for this area of being empathic, being someone that is caring. That's good. Caring is good. That's on it. Choices. Ooh, like choices and caring. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Well, I'm going to tell you mine. Let's see. Cautious. Ooh. It's interesting because you all have focused on, like I focus on the positive side. That's how they say you're supposed to teach. You teach from the positive and you delve lightly into the negative. But I love it because I've stayed on the me side of the giver. But you all have also focused in on the person that might be on the other side of what they're receiving from the giver. I love it. Being cautious and making choices or better choices, caring, all of those. I love it, love it, love it. I have compassionate. Sometimes it says feeling and showing sympathy and concern for others is compassion. So we're compassionate people at times. And it says that we have a tendency when we have that compassionate side, it says that we are pitying, we are sympathetic, we are understanding, we are kind, we are patient, we are caring and tender, loving, merciful. And here's the big one. I thought somebody was going to get this: charitable. Because think about it. When you give something away, it's charity. It's because you didn't have to give it away. So it's on the side of charity, donations, just giving somebody something that you think they need. And I was talking to a friend who was saying that she's been cleaning out her house and going through bins and bins of stuff that she had accumulated after retiring from her job. And I said, that's so interesting because, I've done that twice and I need to do it again because I get so busy. I need to do it again. So one of the things I'm going to investigate is how to take all of my work and, and get the space up in a cloud and just do nothing but scan to a cloud and keep it there, as opposed to me having it in, my file cabinet. So I'm moving in that direction. I am. But I want you guys to have a wonderful day. Life is good when we make it good, but others don't have it so good. And so when we have an opportunity to show ourselves to be of an empathic nature, do it. Especially if it rings to you and it sings to you, or it comes to you as just your own, humbleness and spiritual awareness. Do it for someone else. Even if we know that we blessed them with what they did and they don't pass it on, or they don't even use it, or they don't think it was what they wanted, pray for it after you do it. That's all we can do, because once it's gone, it's gone. And nothing else can be done. Blessings to everyone. Yeah, blessings to you, Joan, and everybody that came in and out. And, it's interesting because I may only see a few people in, because a lot of people will not sign all the way in, but not a problem. I just love everybody for doing this, time with me. And it ended up today being about, 30, 38, 37 minutes. Love it. I'm going to see you on Wednesday. And then I will be off on Monday like everyone else, enjoying family and friends. But so all this week I'll be here, which will be Wednesday and Friday. And then Monday I won't be here. If you don't do anything else, hit that, share button and let it be shared that there's someone out here doing something for the goodness of others, just trying to make them understand that whatever they have to say or do is important. I love you too. Aw, thanks, Cheryl. Bye-bye. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.